Welcome to Emuna is Our Future with Suffering and Pleasure. This is an important, focused class. As we heard from today, from Gedalia Fenster's yesterday's class, I was listening this morning, and he tuned us into the exact point that we wanted to discuss today and bring out, especially after a wonderful class from our Emuna weekly class. Unfortunately, still missing Rav Shalom Ben Yemna, but we are praying and davening for Rav Shalom Orish. He should be able to host us here in person. In the meanwhile, we're in his wonderful studio in Yerushalayim, Kodesh, and we're together with our team. We had the pleasure of special guests, Jonathan Hill on the guitar and harmonies, and Levi Cohen. Levi Cohen sang some beautiful songs, and thankfully Rav Dayan Elgod guided us through some very difficult points about suffering and able to go through shidduchim and all the different challenges we're going through right now, give us the right mindset. And then I decided that we'd continue that focus, especially after listening to Gedalia Fenster's point that pain brings focus. And that is something which we say again and again in our classes, the importance of learning to focus ourselves, being more effective, how we use time, how we use all these resources online, how we get to join each other weekly. And part of my request as part of the class is that you share these classes, because there's no point me doing these classes and only reaching a certain amount of people. We want it to go as global as possible. We want to be able to reach the united souls of the world, to be able to connect on a global level what we're doing here, so we can be most effective and most impactful. I thank you guys, whoever reaches out. The last night's class that went live, thank God it was recorded here in the day, but it was based on an email we got, Eli.Goldsmith@breslev.co.il. My email, thank God people reach out and they ask this fabulous question, and the person who asked, we obviously kept the ways of figuring out who it is private, wanted to give respect to that person, but the point of the question was very needed and all the different points, and I think it brought out a lot of energy and a lot of emotions from the music, and I want you to share that class as well. The Emunalive class, it was about peaceful, soulful flow. We're in a world right now in a lot of war, a lot of chaos. What's been going on in Ukraine, our tefillahs and our hearts go out to those people. We ask you guys to continue, the ones who join us weekly, to keep praying, not just for yourself, doing your daily hisbodedus, talking to our Creator. That's part of the Garden of Emuna series focus, but we also ask you to pray, as the Rav himself has pushed the last few years, the campaign for love of all people, and specifically we now have a new booklet on loving people without any reason, just for complete devotion and dedication to humanity. That's the kind of prayers that we need to work on developing here. We are heading towards a very big Parsha, Parshas Vayikra, and that's also including Zochor. Zochor has within it the second of the Dalet Parshias, the Shem Hey. The Shem Havaya has 4 letters, and this is the second, which is the Hey. The Hey has within it the aspect from the Shem Hashem. The Hey is Heilah, is the aspect of Tshuva, the aspect of Bina B'itim, the idea of special times to tshuva, to return, to be more connected. And especially when you have Parsha Zochor, we understand that being able to control our inhibitions, to be able to control our tivers, our desires, and to be able to bring more of a shleimus, a completion of the Shem Hashem in the world. The Shem Hashem represents to us the Gilui, the revelation of Hashem's infinite light, His Ein Sof, the Creator's different levels of bringing down divine Shefa and Ashpa into the world, as we know, and it's talked about in the beautiful Sfarim, like we see in Tanya, this concept of bringing down the Shefa, bringing down the Ashpas, of understanding how there's a constant process of Yud Ke Vav Ke, and how it comes into the world through these divine channels, through these alamas, through these different worlds, through these different divine emanations, as we talked about here many times, the 10 spheres, and we want to bring it to a shleimus, to a complete revelation. And that is the war that we're having with Amalek, and it really represents on an internal level a war with doubt. Doubt is Gematria Amalek, the idea that we have this constant battle in all the generations. As we spoke about last week, to come to a more peaceful resolve, and to understand that the suffering we go through is part of that process of cleansing ourselves in this world. And the Shem Hashem itself, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Yud and the Kei, in the Tanya is described in the Balatanya Sfarim by Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi. We talked about him many times here. The idea that there's this Yud and Kei, this higher level of revelation of Hashem Yisbarach, and really that the suffering we go through, the Yisurim, the difficulties we go through, the challenges that we go through are from the higher element. This idea of when we're involved in this world, we're actually connected to a higher level of Shem Hashem, of Achila, Shtia, Shena. We've talked about many times. We're eating, we're drinking, we're sleeping. These are all aspects, beer, when we're with relations, these are all the higher level of Yud-Kei. And there's a certain level of suffering that goes together with that when we're experiencing the physical world, as we all know, like personally, in a real way, like without getting too spiritual with the Torah concepts, but to understand on a real level, everyone's going through difficulty right now. Everyone's having challenges, and we're really experiencing the higher level of revelation of godliness. The first two Dalit Parshas of the 4 Parshas we're reading right now connect into Shkolim, which is the Pnimius, and the Zochor, which is bringing out the tshuva, this revelation of Yud and Kei, of the Shechina Kadosha, of the idea of Hashem's presence, to bring it down into the physical, into the world. This is the challenge before Purim, before we reach the level of Tainus Esther and Purim for the rest of the world and Purim for Yerushalayim. We first have to go through these parshias and get to the clarity that we're here to reveal Hashem in the world. Especially right now, we've got Vayikra. We're entering a new sefer, a new book, all about korbanos, of sacrifice, of self-sacrifice, of realizing that the way we come close, korev, is the same idea of korban, of sacrifice. It's bringing ourselves close. As Nissan Black, when he came to studio, I remember he mentioned here that when we're calling out to Hashem ba'emes, Karov Hashem, it's the idea we're close to Hashem, it's with truth. How do we come close with truth? The whole kiruv, the whole aspect of kiruv, bringing people closer, it has to come from truth, from emes. And that's the idea of Aleph Mem Taf. These are big foundational letters of the Osius, of Aleph Beis, of the revelation of Hashem. Once again, Hashem Mistachel B'Rais B'Alma. Anyone who's seen the Matrix film recently would understand this concept of resurrection, this concept of how all the Osius, all the letters, all the coding of creation is really formed through Hashem's revelation of Gilui, of Yud Kei Vav Kei, of Osius, of letters. And this is the coding of creation, that we have the power through Torah, through tefillah, through prayer, through connection in a more spiritual level to tune into. And once we're tuned into the true revelation that's going on constantly, we're sitting here right now, we're online, we're on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank God we have the website, and we've got those videos going up on YouTube. The edited version we didn't get yet, last week's up on the website. Please God, they know about it, it's coming soon. That's part of my suffering here, that I don't have my full team helping me in my personal class, but that's okay. They're in the studio here, but they're just busy with loads of projects, thank God, and the girls downstairs are busy with a load of projects. And we brought today, I was meant to bring up a beautiful picture. Please God, I'll bring it up another week. But the concepts of the prayer of tefillah is beautifully illustrated. One of my friends, I'm going to, please God, mention it here more, neshamawula.com. You check it out. Beautiful, beautiful website of different arts and pictures. And please God, we'll be able to share that as time goes on. I'm just working out with my friend exactly my involvement, but the concept is it's these beautiful pictures of landscapes that we have in the background behind us in the edited version. And thanks to the nice green wall over here, we can generate beautiful backgrounds, and it would be nice to be able to give that out to people through pictures of people connecting to Hashem, to connecting to the Creator, bringing that down into these beautiful locations. You better have that as Wula, neshamawula.com. Check it out. Please God, next week I'll remember to bring the pictures just downstairs. But the concepts are that we are all together to elevate this world. We are all together to bring out a Gilui, a revelation of Hashem Yisbarach. And I know personally that as I'm going through my daily challenges, I'm feeling right now a lot of suffering personally, not because, thank God, anyone's sick, thank God everyone's healthy, thank God this corona thing has been proven that it's much less than people made out, and thank God we're all healing from it. The ones who, God forbid, had to suffer, we wish them comfort and strength. But Baruch Hashem, overall the world has got through that challenge, and then now we're here with a new challenge of war and other things. There's always something going on. But the point is that on a personal level, there's a lot of Yisurim, because the world was affected. Me personally, as you all know, Unity Bookings, I'm all about bringing events, and the event world was very much hit. The hospitality world was very much hit, and I'm still pushing for my wonderful artists. You guys can check it out. Links in the description. Go to my Substack. I would have loved to put out a book. I still have dreams of doing so. United Souls, bringing this soul energy into the world, bringing out the souls of people. But there's a lot of manias. I didn't get there's a lot of manias. The concept of manias of preventations is to transform them into ni'imus, into pleasant, into pleasure. We're talking about the second part of the class. The idea first we have to go through the suffering to get to the pleasure, or to appreciate the pleasure. To manifest the pleasure, we first have to accept Makabel Yisurim Bahava, and that brings Yeshua Za'olam, that brings salvations to the world. When we're having these restrictions, as Gedalia often talks about, that focuses us in, so that our prayer, our Torah, our journey, excuse my voice, just been busy all day since yesterday with the classes and stuff, editing and putting it out, the content. Thank God it's great music from Levi and other people. But as we're going through the constrictions, and I even brought my friend here, and the Rabbani was too busy, and so were the family, and the Orish family, busy, and thank God they're still praying for the Rav, and it's sad, that the Rav is not able to fully be able to present himself, and we have to keep praying. We have to be molded to the MS, to the situation that we're in, and we have to pray that please God we're able to come to you in person. Thank God we do have Rav Dayan Elgrod, myself, we're able to come, thank God, but we understand the Rav, his holy Tzaddik face, that's what you're looking for, really. And we accept that reality over here in our Emuna class and Best of Israel. But thank God we're still able to, at least online, do those classes. And we appreciate you still collaborating with us, joining us. We have so many campaigns. Shekel, now there's a new one, Kimsa Pesach for the grain, to be able to help all the families struggling around here, and obviously there's even more important causes like what's going on in Ukraine and the people who've been displaced from their homes. Everyone here has to become more kind, more altruistic, give more charity, even though it's hard for all of us, including myself. I'm also challenged with that on a daily level, thank God. But the point is that on a real level, all of us need partnership, all of us need collaboration, all of us need kindness, all of us need more tefillahs, and it focuses us when we have these challenging moments, these painful experiences of a lack, say, of divine abundance. For example, all these musicians, all these talented speakers that come here, and they're not getting the opportunities to be able to perform as much, like Levi and all the Joseph Daniel, all the different people he's trying now, the Mexican band star, but we'd love him to be able to perform the way with his full inner self of his beautiful music he's put out there. There's so much wonderful talent in the world, and we need to be able to help people, assist people. Another musician, Yoni Gabali, reached out to me today. Help book these musicians, help promote their music, help it get global, because why should the music world be filled with so much, I don't want to say anything not good, but music that's seemingly not from the side of Kedusha, that's not bringing the Shem Hashem whole, it's, God forbid, bringing doubts to people about their connection to God, Kodesh Baruch Hu, and the idea that we want music that inspires people to reveal the truth behind the matrix. This whole cover-up around us, like, is literally a war for the soul, a war for humanity, a war for people to be able to be more connected in to the inner truth of their soul, their purpose, their mission, of their fulfillment, of their happiness. Same with relationships. How difficult has it become, the struggle to maintain relationships? I was listening to Lewis Howes, and he had a very well-known speaker, Esther Perel, and other people like this. People who've gone through suffering, the Holocaust survivor, or this Gabby woman, they've gone through difficult moments. Lewis just lost his father. People have gone through challenges in the world, generally, humankind, and these. Esther Perel happens to be Jewish, as far as I know, and she's also a Holocaust survivor's family, and she's gone deep into the struggles of relationships nowadays, of being loyal, of being focused on your soulmate, and not getting distracted by all this noise around us, of preachers, of sexual energy that's not good. And that was one of the big wars that we had with Amalek, that they wanted to cut us off where the place of Kedusha, of bris, and we have to show them the bris. leading up to Purim, it's a time of joy. But one of the challenges comes with that joy. A lot of promiscuity comes together with it. It's funny how like you sense the simcha growing, the energy, but so does the Yetzer Hara's energy to distract us from really the kedusha, the inner aspects, the soul level. And our fight here in our Emuna class weekly is to strengthen the soul level. And that's why I'm asking you to subscribe to the Substack, join. I'd love to be able to get my course online again and Pulveridu, but I need more people. I can't do the course just 3 or 4. I need like a minion of souls. I know that's why L'Shem K'Tzabuchu, I'm always mechavein, I'm always having in mind in my intentions that miyached, Shem Kol Yisrael, that when we're learning, when we're doing these classes, we're joining together all the souls of all the people. We have to try think about that. When we're doing mitzvahs, we're putting on tzitzis, talis, with Shem Kol Yisrael. We're putting on tefillin. If we're a lady, we're lighting the candles with Shem Kol Yisrael. All the neshamas of the world, we should have in mind all nishmas and Mashiach, with the soul of Mashiach, trying to be mamshich, this light, this soul of kedusha into the world. All the souls in Ukraine. Think about people on a more soul level. Get our minds talking more soulful, so that we understand that all the struggles we're having in front of us, say, trying to get this place functional and get the partnership, all the struggles we're having, all the fact that people here are just overwhelmed with the amount of work and not enough shefa, not enough bracha, not enough of yishuv das, and then it just creates this overkill of hishtadlus, which personally I'm trying to always keep balance, always want to keep safe and healthy and mentally focused. But it's a struggle in the community around you. Everything's so balachat, so pressured, and the world around you, social media world around you, so much pressure to constantly perform and to put out more content and constantly share on all the different platforms. You could go crazy. You've got to be able to maintain the center, be able to balance yourself, get back to the soul level, to realize that there's pleasure underneath all this suffering. There's pleasure within this Aneg al Hashem, as we sang yesterday with Levi. And you guys should check out the class. I'm reminding you again. This Aneg al Hashem, to understand it's a pleasure. Al Hashem, as if you're on Hashem, as if there's like this ability to reach a madrega, a level of true Devekas, true connection to Hashem Yisbarach, to become truly unified. And that's the idea that Gedalia was talking about, this unification between Chochmah and Bina, between Hashem and Elokim, and the idea of bringing out from all the suffering, all the giluim, all the pain, all the difficulty that within, it's just refining us. It's bringing us to a deeper level of understanding of who we are, what our purpose is. And Rav Vorosh himself, I'm sure he's going through tremendous suffering to be able to do his classes fully, be able to talk properly, and be able to connect with people in an intimate way, to be able to host people. We'd love to come to Brooklyn. They're still reaching out, and we can't. LA, I don't know. UK, I don't know. I mean, like I said, my Rav Dainag and myself, we're ready to come, but we can't come without the Rav. It seems like people want the Rav to come, so we have to wait. We have to be patient. And personally, I have to keep seeking out more avenues of shefa, more avenues of bracha. And I'm sure that's the same with many people. There's this idea of hustling. Everyone's trying to have their side hustle, and we have to understand. Lewis House talks about it. All these thought leaders nowadays. You see with Joe Rogan, he's got so many different things going on. He's got the UFC fighting, and when he's the big voice there, and then there's also the podcast, and then he's got all his brands. People are multitasking on so many levels, bringing down so many different pipes of sinors, of, as they call it, streaming revenues, and all these different ways of making more shefa. It's a certain challenge that people are feeling, a pressure that we have to keep working, and now we have to be more versatile, emotionally intelligent, to be able to deal with all the changes in technology. And we haven't even started yet with what's happening. I mean, I was listening to Tim Ferriss, the drone technology that's coming, and the way it can impact everything in terms of delivery or even war or anything, the way everything's going. And in fact, this is why the war right now in Ukraine is such a pachad, in a way, is such a fear, because it's not just happening with the high level technology of missiles and rockets, but it's also the cyber war going on. There's a whole cyber war. There's a whole war going online. So people who have invested so much money and resources online, who says that it's protected? Who says that they have full control? And this is the world we're in. It's a world of a lot of fear. But the point is, we have to go deeper and deeper, realize that underneath all that matrix of cover-up and coding, within it is the Gilui of Hashem, who loves us, the Creator who loves us. A lot of tremendous love on the soul level, tremendous unity, a tremendous need to give and connect, and to have relationships that are loyal and lasting and everlasting and eternal. And that's why I talk about it in my relationship flow podcast underneath. You can check that out. Go there in the description. Always putting the links there for you guys to connect on and share more content that can help humanity get more relationship. I know I'm going through the struggles myself. That's one of the points we mentioned from Rav Dayan Elgod, that beautifully put, that we can't really help anyone else unless we're going through the challenge ourselves. Think about it. Like Gedalia Fenster went through gambling addiction. He talks about, I'm not saying anything that he hasn't spoken about publicly. So now he has all his centers to help with rehab and detox, and he's able to do these classes with the 10, the 12 steps and these 10 levels of constantly bringing down all these bullet point clear information. It's helped him understand humanity on a deep level because of his own challenges, the challenges in marriage, and I'm sure myself, my challenge in my marriage. Thank God I'm only married once, and I wanted to keep it that way. But then I've seen other parts, people in my life, get divorced, and other challenges that go on, around and around, and you see the difficulty that it brings and the pain that it brings, and you see that the lack of oneness, the lack of unity, that seemingly that goes on around and around online and the media world, and the fact that I still haven't seen my parents in the Holy Land for now almost 2.5 years, and all my other family, my brothers, my own children have not met their nephews and nieces ever, except for one or two of the girls. So it's very, very sad, with the lack of unity on a family level and a physical level. So we have to tune in again to the soul level, that we're united on soul, we're united on the neshama level, we're all one. The people you care about, you can affect them through positive thoughts, you can affect them through prayer, you can affect your children constantly by developing positive thoughts. I was listening to Coach Menachem. I don't know if you guys listened to his podcast, Let's Get Real, and I was listening there to excellent parenting advice. There's online so much positive content that we can tune into. I was listening to Zubi and all his interviews. This guy called King Randall, I shared it a little bit on some of my personal platforms, and he's built a school, and he's seen that being as himself, he's a role model, and he's someone who's developed a beautiful place for kids where they're not going to get brainwashed about all this, focus on, I don't want to get political, but there's so much focus on things that are on really the key aspects of humanity, like the idea of which sexual way you go and all this, like racial equity and all this financial equity, all this stuff that's distracting from the real essential inner issues of each person themselves, responsibility for themselves, kind of a lot of victimization, all this stuff. So he's gone the right ways. He's building an education system that's helping the kids, empower them and being real with them. And obviously he's not able to get through the higher up system in his community, and they're challenging him. And I've seen this myself in the Jewish world as well. I've seen tremendous control from people, from establishments and systems that don't want to let people who are role models or unique individuals have more of an influence, and they're very specific who they work with and who they show. Like personally, I never made it onto any of the mainstream platforms in the Jewish world, and for whatever reason, maybe they say, maybe it's my own fault, and I'm the best speaker or biggest rabbi or all this kind of stuff. But maybe it's also because there's a bit of fear of anything different. I come from a background, I'm sure everyone can relate. Rav Orish himself's about tshuva, I'm about tshuva, or trying to be anyway. Working on tshuva, working on being real with myself and being real with my struggles, real with my problems. I'm not perfect, and I've got personal things I need to work on, become better and better person. As you can see, the system here is not exactly worked out, and that realness, that authentic approach, in my opinion, is really where the future is at, really what people are looking for. And it's just a matter of us breaking past all the blocks and the established media and established institutions have created, that they themselves also need freeing up. They also are looking for the truth in their own personal life, and they're also looking to hopefully undo some of these blocks and in the systems that are around us, so that we can start to really help people, truly help ourselves, truly to be really authentic and real with our limitations and be humble. And that's the little aleph we see in Vayikra. Vayikra teaches us, as we're coming, it's boning and we're thinking and we're starting to look for solutions in our life, comes this little aleph and reminds us of humility as Vayikra, as we're calling out to Hashem and Hashem's calling out to us as a relationship. This little aleph reminds us the importance of the humility that's needed. That's the humility of Moshe, the humility of the souls of the world. That we need that humility, that honesty, that truth aspect of responsibility, and that transparency, that we're able to constantly face our issues, and as we've talked about, face our stuff, not stuff our face, not look for escapism. Purim is not an escape. Purim is an opportunity to get closer and closer to the truth, to get closer and closer to who we are, be'etzem, in our essence, to become more involved with the inner, the pneumius, the soul level, the inner level, the true level of who we are, to really discover our real self. That's the whole idea of the mask and dressing up. It's all just to really, like the Matrix, to remove that mask, that matrix, that cover up, and get into the inner aspects of who we are. And Purim is a day which wakes us up. We're learning Kuti Halachos again with my son, and the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu, his hands is in the air, screaming to Hashem, Vayikra, calling out for all the souls of the world. We're calling out for all the souls of the world to wake up and to remove all this cover-up, to remove all this pain and suffering, so we can get to the pleasure of having a relationship, the pleasure of this Aneg al Hashem, of Devekus, of oneness, of truth in our Shalom Bayis, in our children, in our Panasa. Why should it always have to be so much suffering and manias and pain? Let's remove that. And I ask it sincerely. Why? Hashem Yisbarach, you love us. Let's remove this pain. Let's through tefillah, vayikra, call out with humility and say, Hashem, save us. Save us from this pain. Save us from these wars. Save us from these struggles. Save us from all these small-minded ways of doing things. Please, Hashem, help us to have a bigger way, a bigger approach, to be more awake, to be more alive, to be more empowered, to be more soulful, to be more one, to be more unified, to have more yearnings for real relationships, to not have all these escapism and all this false entertainment, to be able to tune into what we're here for, to have the will to want these things, to pray for these things, to bring it out in our daily lives. It shouldn't just be external points. When we give charity, like all these campaigns we have here, we should tune into what it really means. Becoming whole, becoming the really half, and we need to become whole. To really sincerely care about the poor people, to give gifts to them, to do shlach manos, to really give a gift with your whole heart on Purim, to really connect with your other fellow human being, to become more one. Please God, next we're going to have a class leading up to Purim, Pashat Sab, and we're going to get into that, the idea of Purim and how powerful that day is. But we're touching on it now. To better get to the pleasurable moments of Purim, we first have to have the time necessary. We first have to remove all these blocks in ourselves. We have to remove them and realize that all this suffering, all the pain that we're going through is just a refinement, is a kapara, is a rectification of our soul, a tikkun olam of the world, of humanity, and bringing us to be able to then be sensitive enough to have empathy and to really care about those other people and what they're going through. And I know myself, I struggle with this. And I'm not talking because I've mastered it. And then I do about tshuva. I'm a master of tshuva. Yeah, right. Halavai. I should be tshuva on the tshuva. I need to constantly come closer to myself and more real myself. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I could sit here and talk to myself such words of truth. But thank God we have the recording devices and we have the opportunity to share it global. You have the opportunity to share it global. Don't just like it. Last week I asked you to like these posts. Share them. Share the links. I can't do this by myself. No one's going to really experience Purim unless the message of Purim is brought out. We have to remove the matrix. We have to remove the cover-up. We have to remove all this Amalek, this suffix, this force in the world that's making us feel cold to spirituality, make us cold to our essence, cold to our relationships, cold to our purpose, cold. We have to warm ourselves up. We're coming out the winter months now, spring, it's renewal, getting ready for Purim and Pesach, times of energy. Hashem will give us everything, all the abundance. We be kind, Hashem will be kind. Show that we have Emuna in ourselves, that we can be manifest positivity in our relationships, in our kindness. Partner with what we're doing. Go to the links and sign up, subscribe. What's it going to do? You're going to get an email once every few weeks when I send out my Substack, and you're going to get some ideas of how to become more soulful. I'd love to put it out, the full book, and in the meanwhile you get it in the extracts of the book. This is free. No one's asking for money. Yeah, just do it. Share it. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, if you want to show how committed you are with money, Emunalive.com, come there and donate and let me know that you donated. I need to know. I want to know that. I want to know that people out there care. You give me strength and give me feedback and positive feedback and get this message out there. It's something which we can't do alone. And thank God we have these platforms, we have these opportunities. I don't know how much longer we will, because personally, you know, maybe something bit better for me personally will come along. And I can't do this anymore, honestly, unless people show in an active, proactive way that you are involved. I can't do this by myself. I can't come here. I can't keep bringing all these guests and I need to have a proactive experience of community. Come, unity, join together. Kanos kol Yehudim, as it says in Purim, in the Megillah. You have to bring together all the souls, all the people. It's Yadim. People wanted to be Jewish. People wanted to connect to the soul level. People wanted to experience spirituality. They wanted to taste this Aneg al Hashem, what true pleasure is. The true Devekus, as it says in Mesilat Yesharim, of the Shalva and its Tanug, the source of all pleasure, is Hashem Yisbarach. We want to connect into pleasure, connect into Hashem, connect into the soul level, connect into who you are, really. You're a soul, you're a divine being. You're not just this physical body that needs to eat and drink. Inside the Chila, Shtia, and Shena, and beer, all these things, the eating, drinking, and sleeping, and relationships, inside is Yud K, is Hashem Hashem. The first two letters of Hashem Yisbarach, the Yichud, the Yud and the K. This is the idea. And when we get to the Torah mitzvahs next time, we'll talk about that. That's the idea of the Vav and the K. And that's the Shleimus of Hashem Yisbarach. That's the Mechias Amalek, getting rid of all the doubts, getting rid of all the difficulties, getting rid of all the pain. Everything should work, everything should flow. You should be able to have a connection to your soulmate in a full way. It's connection to your children, connection to your tafkid, to your purpose. So you can bring down the shefa, the abundance you need to be able to do your purpose in the world. This is our Emuna class today. How to go from suffering to pleasure, to understand suffering, that it's a refinement process, to get to the inner aspects, the pleasure of Shabbos. It's Aneg al Shabbos. Shabbos is a Shabbos Oneg. We have a Shabbos coming up, Pasha Zocho, to enjoy Zochis Yom Shabbos Kadsho. You get the Zocho for the Shabbos. That already gets rid of all the doubts and all the difficulties. Just tune in to honoring Shabbos, to honoring this divine day of rest, which is a Ma'ain al Mahaba, a taste of the world to come, where we're already preparing ourselves for the eternal pleasure we're going to have ultimately forever and ever and ever. Chayal Achayal. Levels and levels, where the Ziva Shechina and all the different levels of Madrigas of what it means to be a soul, to connect into the soul world. Once we purified this physical reality, we're going to have endless spiritual pleasure. This is the reality of what we're tuning in. This is part of the Torah mitzvahs of the spirituality of Emuna Tour, Emuna class, everything we're doing here. So I ask you, again, one more time, get these posts out there, get the global truth out there so that people aren't missing the true pleasure that's within their soul and their partnership with their soulmate and their spiritual texts and their spiritual well-being for their family and the world. So we don't just constantly busy with Narishkai like this Corona thing was last few years and all these other things have been constantly busy with nonsense. We can be busy with truth, with oneness and love and unity and Emuna. Thank you. Have a beautiful Shabbos, beautiful rest of the week. Have a beautiful Parsha Zochor, Vayikra. Hashem's calling out. We're calling out with the humility that we need that help. That's one of the first steps of the 12 steps. We need that higher force to help us overcome all our addictions, all our difficulties, all our sufferings, so we can have true pleasure with one real revelation of united souls. Amen, amen. Thank you for tuning in. Share this on.